Hello folks, my name is Mark and this is Why I Hate the World. How you guys doing? So this is a video about Kim Davis, and if you don't know who that is, she's been in the news lately. She is a county clerk in I think it's Kentucky or some state down there in the South, I think. Anyway, she's the county clerk that has been refusing to hand out marriage licenses, specifically to same-sex couples, right, in protest of gay marriage. And as of this morning, a judge ordered her to start handing out marriage licenses because basically once the Supreme Court struck down gay marriage bans, she refused to hand out licenses, and then she just stopped handing out any marriage licenses at all. She just stopped giving out all of them out. So a lot of protesters have been coming up, and there's videos online of people protesting and do your job and all that stuff, right? And so a judge gave her an order to start handing them out, and she refused. And as of this morning, she is now in jail. Normally, I'd be taking a lighter tone of this, but if this was any other subject, I'd be kind of mocking conservatives right now. But right now, I'm seeing some very very violent comments, a lot of very violent and rhetoric. There's a video from Right Wing Watch that shows Brian Fisher's show. If you don't know who Brian Fisher is, he's this extremely far right-wing talk show guy that's beyond conservative. This dude is borderline. He's fucking insane, right? And apparently he has insane people calling in. I saw a video where somebody called in to Brian Fisher's show and said that there's going to be blood spilled over this, right? I've seen many comments on different websites I go to where people are extremely pissed off, and they're threatening. They're using very, very threatening language, and it kind of concerns me a little bit. This might be the straw that broke the camel's back and causes, the normal religious conservatives are only slightly crazy, drives them to be completely nuts, and they go out and they start shooting people. I don't know. Hopefully that won't happen. But here's what I don't understand about this, right? Because a lot of those comments that I am seeing, they're of the variety that Christians in general, conservative evangelical Christians, feel like they're being oppressed because of things like this. So this lady, Kim Davis, is born again evangelical, and she's not handing out these marriage licenses to gay couples, right? Because it's against her religious beliefs. And the fact that, it's legal now seems that's the thing, is that a lot of the people, the Christians that I'm hearing from, that I'm seeing comments from and that are making a big stink over this, they're taking the attitude that they're the ones who are being oppressed because these other people now have rights. And I don't understand that. How exactly are Christians being oppressed because gay people can now get married? How does that make sense, right? And I'm hearing some shit because they bring up cases for instance, they're the baker who got sued because they wouldn't, bake a cake for a gay couple, and they're bringing up shit like that. And it's it's this combination of misinformation coupled with just a persecution complex and ignorance that all kind of comes together, and it creates this perfect storm of dumbassery, I guess is the way to describe it. Because here's the thing, okay? Christians are not being oppressed because gay people get married, all right? Rights are not, it's not if I take one right away, if I give one group of people a right to do something, that doesn't take away the right from somebody else. All right? It doesn't work like that. Christians are not like, they didn't get their right to discriminate removed. Okay? The truth is they never had that right to begin with. All right? You never had a right to discriminate against gay people. It was just something that, nobody cared about before. It wasn't part of the social consciousness yet, But it's not like it was correct and the proper thing to do to discriminate against gay people before, and now we've outlawed it, and the evil stinking tree huggers are like, enacting, they're making it like a thought crime and shit to discriminate. That's bullshit. Okay, there's nothing like that at all. The thing is, you can still, in your private business, not, bake a cake for a gay wedding. You can do that. There's no law against that says that you can't do it. Right? The reason why that baker got in trouble, the reason why that baker got sued was they didn't just not bake the cake. They went on social media and they tried to turn it into a fucking fundraising exercise. Right? Because if you remember, there was a gay pizza, a conservative pizza place. Well, I guess, sorry, slip of the tongue. If you remember, there was a conservative pizza place that refused to serve, gay weddings or pizza, even though nobody wanted to. It's like, who the fuck has, pizza at a goddamn wedding? And they got, they managed to raise like $400,000, right? That's what this bakery place was trying to do too. They were trying to turn it into a fundraising thing so they could get money. So they went on social media and tried to ridicule this gay couple, and posted personal information and shit like that. And the gay people sued because of that. Not because they weren't baked a cake, they sued for damages because these assholes went on and tried to fucking ruin their lives by posting their personal information. That's why they got, $150,000. That's why that bakery went out of business, alright? There's no law that, the law didn't come and shut them down or any shit like that, right? They got ran out of business because they're fucking assholes, okay? But, if you ran a store and, some people, if you ran a restaurant and they wanted you to cater their gay wedding and you don't want to do it, it's still not the law that says you have to fucking do it. Okay, that's just not, that's just not true at all, right? So, here's the problem, is that, because people are saying, okay, this county clerk, she won't do her job. Why don't we just fire her, right? You can't fire her because that's an elected position. This person was elected to do that. So it's not that easy. They have to go through whatever impeachment process there is in order to replace a county clerk, which I can't imagine it would be that difficult, I haven't looked it up yet, but I imagine that if she isn't fulfilling the station of her office, there probably is some way of removing her, and I'm sure that's going to happen to this lady eventually, right? Now, not only is this lady not obeying the law, right? She's also not obeying her own religion, because if you remember in the Bible, there's I distinctly remember a part where Jesus Christ himself says, "Render unto Caesar that which is Caesar's." Now, what does that mean? Okay, well, in the context of that passage, it had to do with money changers and all that, right? And, pay your taxes, basically, is what it was, right? But over the centuries, the church has interpreted that in many different ways. One of those ways being obey the secular authorities, right? Because if you're a Christian, you don't believe in democracy. You believe in a monarchy. But it's not just any monarchy, it's the cosmic monarchy, okay? If you're really a Christian and you really believed in all your heart and soul that there is a God, then that God is all powerful, right? That God determines what happens here on earth. So when there's an election and the president wins, that means that, God himself chose that president. Okay? That's what that means. If you believe that God is all powerful, then you have to believe that God determines what happens here on earth, and God made the president, right? So laws like this would not have passed. They wouldn't exist if God didn't want them to exist, correct? Yes or no, all right? Does God control everything? Yes. If he controls everything, he controls what the laws are on earth. That's just, basically, there's no way getting around that. You cannot get around that and believe in, you cannot get around that and believe in an all-powerful, all-knowing God who has a personal interest in what happens on earth, right? It's either one or the other, right? Either you believe that, or you believe that, God does not take an interest in earth, in which case it doesn't fucking matter anyway. Okay. So, according to, the thing is that evangelical Christians do believe in a personal God, right? They do believe that God determines, events on earth, right? And they do believe that Obama would not be the president unless God wanted it. They do believe that this law wouldn't have passed unless God wanted it. So this lady claiming her religious beliefs to not follow the law is actually going against what those religious beliefs are. And it's because Christians today don't actually follow the Bible. They follow their own, it's their own culture, which very, very little of what Christian, evangelical, conservative Christian culture is today actually comes out of the Bible, right? There's no shit about gay marriage in the Bible, right? There's nothing about abortion in the Bible. In fact, there's passages in the Bible that support abortion, okay? There's nothing about drug use in the Bible, all right? Marriage in general is way different in the Bible, men have fucking multiple wives, right? People are allowed to own slaves in the Bible. So the shit that they believe, there is no biblical, the biblical basis for it is very, very thin at best. And what it really is American conservative culture, which is like, and that's the thing, is that they take what they want to believe and they bullshit themselves into saying it's their religion, when in real life, what their religion actually teaches has very, very little with what they're actually, the way they actually live. And the whole thing's fucking bullshit. So, anyway, to sum up, I don't feel bad about this lady being in prison. Too fucking bad for her. She should have done her job, right? And, but I am concerned about some of the very, very, violent rhetoric coming out of the far right, and I think this could be, I think it could be very dangerous, right, to not take that shit seriously, and I think it's really only a matter of time before we see some nutcase go up on a water tower with a rifle and just start, sniping people because he thinks he's being persecuted. Too bad real life is the complete opposite of that. So, anyway, adios, folks.